Brentford have been a mid-table Premier League side now for 3 seasons after upsetting the odds and making it into the Premier League. But today, in this FM24 one-season rebuild, we are looking to upset the odds and get them into European football for the first time in their history, using Thomas the Frank Engine tactics and, of course, some of their realistic new signings. Now, it's got to be said, I held off rebuilding Brentford for the longest time because I had no idea what was going to happen with Ivan Toney, to the point where I'd only done it 5 days ago, before the Premier League weekend had kicked off. He's my captain in FPL. He's leaving. I simply can't. I don't have the time to be able to do this whole thing again. Ivan Toney will be in this rebuild as the Brentford striker, as it was like pretty much, there wasn't much talk about it. All of a sudden, Saudi coming for him, and it looks like he might be off. But for the sake of this rebuild, Toney is going to be here at Brentford in the system, and he's going to absolutely smash it as well. But I'm sure Brentford are going to be so clever in their recruitment and bring someone in up front that can replace Ivan Toney's goals. It'll probably be a very similar pressing forward striker who knows exactly how to put the ball in the back of the net. They'll sell him for 40, they'll bring someone in for 5. It's the Brentford way, and that's how they've built this absolutely fantastic side. I love Thomas Frank tactics. I'm a massive fan of Brentford, and this team itself is just very, very good. It's a very fun save, and actually could be my long-term save that I do personally next year on FM25. Potentially doing some Let's Play stuff on FM25. Let me know what you think down below. More like Tom FM style, you know, two videos per season. Potentially with Brentford. Let me know what you think of that down in the comments down below. Flecken in goal is a very decent keeper signed for in the Bundesliga. We have Ruslev over on the right-hand side and Hickey on the left-hand side of Nathan Collins and Agier at centre-back. Norgard in DM, Jensen and Damsgaard in midfield of Visa, who I think is fantastic on the left-hand side of Brian Buemo, and Ivan Toney up front. Now, this tactic itself, I just clicked through it for you. There is a lot of changes that we made to this tactic before the final release. We'll go through that at some point in the video. We are looking to sign a new backup right back and a new backup midfielder, so let's see who we can bring in. And it has also got to be said that sadly Fabio Carvalho isn't joining Brentford in this save. I done this save file the same day I did the Fulham save file, and if you've seen the Fulham rebuild, I was 90% sure he was joining Fulham, and now he's joined Brentford. Pretty nice little tricky winger. To be honest, looking at this Brentford side, he wouldn't get into my left wing position. I'm a massive fan of Visa, massive fan of Lewis Potter, Kevin Shade, and Buemo. He will be a backup for Damsgaard. And speaking of the backup for Damsgaard, I've signed Vicente Pizarro, a 21-year-old Chilean central midfielder who is more of a sort of deep line playmaker vibes. Very good teamwork, great on the ball. 5'8", a little nippy player who is incredibly consistent. And of course, we signed him for just £3.2 million, and he has a value of 45 million. The Brentford way, going to find places where people were just absolute bargains. And it's the same as we said here for Enzo Chateau, signed from Montpellier for a grand fee of £1 million. He is a very nice looking attacking fullback with 16 pace, decent enough on crossing and dribbling. To be fair, not quite as high as I would normally like, but good defensively, can also fill in at centre back and at left back, and is consistent as well. So was our signing to be a backup to Mads Ruslev, who I like a lot. So I wasn't looking for someone to come in and steal that spot, but that's the Brentford side. I am aiming for top 8 this season. I want European football, and you never know, let's try and go for a trophy as well. And I was very happy with the result on the first day of the season, a 1-1 draw at home against Liverpool, with that man Mikel Damsgaard scoring in the 36th minute. And well, I thought that was good. A point against Liverpool and 3 points against Brighton, but I've got quite no idea what happened in this game. Up against Crystal Palace, obviously losing their star man Michael Elise in this summer. It looks like this year's going to be rough for him, as it's 2-0 in 11 minutes already, thanks to a finish from Mikel Damsgaard. Jensen then whips it into the back stick. Visa gets there, pokes onto the post, and finishes home for 3-0. There is another 2 goals in this game, and they are both for us. Visa finds Matthias Jensen on the edge of the box and scores an absolute screamer into the top corner, and we get the 5th in the 81st minute. Hickey finds Jay Da Silva out wide to Visa, and what a finish that is. Brentford 5-0 here against Crystal Palace. And of course, that form couldn't carry on forever. Disappointed though against Leicester, losing 3-1. That's not what I was looking for. It does still leave us, though, in the top 6 after just 4 games with 7 points and a pretty fantastic start. And that start carried on into the Carabao Cup as we battered QPR 3-0 thanks to a Tony hat-trick. We then beat Liverpool on penalties thanks to a brace from Vitaly Janel, but that was all for nothing because we've lost 1-0 to Middlesbrough in the next round. How frustrating. But that's okay, we can concentrate back onto the Premier League and this absolutely mental Brentford side. I'm not quite sure what tactics I've created here, but they could be some of the best on the game because again here today, we're going to score another 5, yes, 5 goals, and it's just a 4-3-3 with a bit of high press involved with it. I pretty much looked at my tactics I made for Thomas Frank last season, tweaked them slightly for this season, and they've absolutely cooked. It's 3-0 here in 30 minutes. Wolves are going to get their 1 goal in this game thanks to a goal from Mario Lemina from the edge of the box. But we've got another 2 coming. It's Norgard in the centre. An overlapping run from Ruslev. Gets to the byline, whips it in, and Brian Mbeumo was there for 4-1 in 52 minutes. And the 5th comes in the 55th. I guess after this, we just felt sorry for them. We stopped scoring goals. A fantastic 3 points. And that was followed up by another 4 goals, another 3 points, and a 4-2 victory against Bournemouth. But up next was our first real test against the side we were battling with for top 6 football, the mighty Spurs. We went 1-0 up in just 3 minutes thanks to Brian Mbeumo and thanks to a shocking defensive mistake. Ivan Toney gets on the back of a pass from Maddison, makes it 2-0 just after half-time. Spurs are going to come back with a goal of their own. Ismail Assar in the middle finds Kulusevski to make it 2-1. But that was it. A 2-1 victory, another 3 points. And this side against a Big 6 side. Another 3 points away from home against Fulham. Before we face the 4-in-a-row champions Manchester City, and we're 1-0 up in 3 minutes. We're 2-0 up in 6 minutes. I've got no idea. Ivan Toney this season was on an absolute mad one. And yes, it's a bit frustrating that he's looking like he's going to leave in real life, but I'm sure Brentford will replace him with someone just as good at finishing the ball. So trust me, these tactics absolutely cook, and if you do want them, we'll go through that in just a little bit. Kevin Shade is through for 3-1 against Manchester City on a quick counter-attack there. They are going to grab another goal though, making it 3-2 with just 5 minutes to go. Could we hold on? Yes, we could. A 3-2 victory against Manchester City. We just cannot stop winning. And while we tried to throw this game away after a 5-4 victory against Everton, Ivan Toney bailed us out yet again, scoring 4 goals. And we're sitting top of the Premier League. 8 wins, 1 draw, 1 losses. Brentford and Ivan Toney are an absolute mad one. And I think, to be honest, we're not going to get tactics better than this, so I might as well go through them now for you guys to download. These are exclusive to the Patreon. The first tactic, the initial one, is what I'll go through here in the video. The attacking variation, which is a very similar 4-3-3, but slightly altered to be more aggressive. And the defensive one, which is a more defensive variation of 4-3-3, are exclusive to Patreon, and you can join down the link down there or on the link up there. You do also get access to giveaways that I'm running over there. Currently, I'm doing a £100 PayPal giveaway, so if you do want to get yourself a chance in that, and you want to get something for it, like these rebuild files and tactics, it is all in the links that are up and down. A massive thank you to the legends that have run down screen. Patreon is the place to be. You can see your boy Kempi, and obviously help support me out massively as well. Now, this tactic, a sweeper keeper on support in goal with Mark Flecken, a right back on support, wing back, shoot less often and stay wider, and the exact same on the left hand side as well. At the start of this video, they were much sort of more aggressive than that. They were fullbacks, but really getting wide and really crossing the ball. And it ended up not quite working, so I vaulted them, and I like these a lot. 2 ball-playing defenders, no further instructions, with a DM on defend with no further instructions. A box-to-box midfielder on support, with get further forward, move into channels, and tackle harder. This is a really aggressive position, and I really like it because it allows our, really playmaker-y sort of player as an advanced playmaker on support to roam around, tackle harder, and just sort of flow into spaces while Jensen can just run around like a madman and get the ball back. We have 2 inside forwards on attack, left-hand side just with sit narrower, right-hand side also with sit narrower, and the pressing forward on attack up front. No further instructions. This never usually scores goals for me, this save, it's been an absolute mad one. Ivan Toney scoring all of the goals. We are set to a positive mentality, play defence, but overlap right and left, a shorter passing directness, a slightly higher tempo, run at the defence, and attacking whip is set to entirely narrow. So when them wing backs do cross the ball, it's normally in the half spaces rather than right on the side of the line. So it creates sort of a really difficult way of defending for the opposition. If they're playing in a fullback, you really haven't got sort of anyone covering them positions. The centre back has to either come out or the left back has to come in, and it opens up spaces for Visa and Mbuemo, as we've seen in the highlights. We have got, apologies, I've clicked the wrong thing there, in transition, counter press, counter, take long kicks, and out to the flanks as well. Something I very rarely do, but because we've got such aggressive wing backs and aggressive wingers, it really does work. We count out the middlemen and we get it straight out to the flanks and we attack quickly. A high defensive line, a high press system, prevent short goal distribution, and trigger the press more often. We are top of the league currently. Let's see if we can carry that on. Well, after that ridiculous run of form, we did manage to grab ourselves another win in the column, thanks to a goal from Ivan Toney here in a 1-0 victory over Newcastle. And it's got to be said, not the greatest of games, but we really should have won this game against Southampton 0-0, and Ivan Toney missed penalty was the difference, and 2 points have been dropped. And well, for some reason, Toney's lost his shooting boots, as we lose 1-0 to Aston Villa. Even though they got a red card thanks to Tyrone Mings, we were absolutely dominant in this game with 17 shots, a 1.91 XG, but we just couldn't find the back of the net. And Ivan Toney had 3 key chances. Luckily though, we did have players in the squad that could put the ball in the back of the net over the next few games, as Johan Visa made it 1-0 in just 6 minutes. He has been a real stand-up performer so far this season. Mats Ruslev then whips it in. It falls to Rico Henry, a left-back, who drills it into the back post to make it 2-0. And Ivan Toney, he's going to put on that fresh pair of boots for the free kick. Top corner, 3-0 away from home at the City ground against Forest. A great 3 points. Well, we left London Stadium also with a point thanks to a 14th minute goal from Vitaly Janelt. Before coming back to the Brentford Community Stadium, grabbing 3 goals against Ipswich, a 3-1 victory, a convincing win. The next 3 games though were a little bit different. We lost 3-0 to Arsenal, getting absolutely battered. Lost 1-0 to Chelsea thanks to a goal from Ben Chilwell, even though Dorje Petrovic got man of the match. And drew 0-0 against Manchester United. No goals in 3 games. That takes us to the halfway point in the Premier League season, and we are sitting in 6th place. A little bit annoying. We were top of the league just 9 games ago, but if you said this to me at the start of the video, I'll be on 37 points after just 19 games, and a bit of your hands off. 11 wins, 4 draws, 4 losses. The mighty Brentford, we are going for it all. And to be honest, it didn't take long for us to get back to winning ways. It's just the last game of 2024. We are going to grab a convincing 2-0 victory over Brighton. Goal number 1 coming from Brian Mbuemo. Number 2 coming in the back post for Nathan Collins. We did sadly face up against Liverpool next, who were leading the Premier League title charge. And you can see why. A 3-0 victory, an absolute sod's law. Fabio Carvalho scored in the 75th minute. He's meant to be ours. But that didn't slow us down too much overall. We beat Crystal Palace 3-0 after the 5-0 at the start of the season. Sorry, Editor Jack. We've absolutely battered your mighty Palace. 8-0 on aggregate. And thanks to a 90th minute goal from Mikael Damsgaard, we also beat Leicester 1-0. But up next was our FA Cup 3rd round replay. And that's because we've got Manchester City's number locked into our phone. We have got another draw against them, this time 2-2. A brace from Ivan Toney. This defensive system really has been fantastic. And it proved to be exactly that yet again, as away from home at the Etihad, we grabbed a 1-0 victory going to the 4th round of the FA Cup thanks to a backstick header from Johan Visa. We then drew yet again in the FA Cup 4th round against Brighton, 1-1. They had only 1 shot all game. So when we brought them back to the Brentford Community Stadium, we absolutely smashed them. Just 2 minutes in, we grabbed the first goal, a shocking mistake from Bart Verbruggen, but Norgard will take the first of his season. Janelt then finds Ruslev on the right hand side, whips it into, of course, that man, Ivan Toney, to batter it into the top corner. corner. He grabs another as well from the penalty spot, making it 3-0. Brighton are going to get a goal back, but it's the FA Cup. They need an absolute miracle. It sometimes can happen, but not this time. 3-1. We're into the 5th round. We then absolutely battered Norwich. We are going to the quarterfinals of the FA Cup. But how's the Premier League campaign getting on? Pretty damn well, to be honest. 2-2 away from home against Wolves at Molineux, before smashing Bournemouth 3-1 thanks to goals from Tony, De Silva and Christopher Ayer. And we were looking to do the double over Spurs, and I hate to say it, Spurs fans, we're going to do it as well. And it's not just going to be 1-0, although Kevin Shade got us off to a great start. 77 minutes on the clock. Ivan Toney shows he's not just a bagsman in the box. He gets headed out, and Yanalt is there for 2-0. The double over Spurs. Top 6 has to be ours. And well, I'll show you the table in just 2 seconds, because another 3 points this time against Everton. We are only in March. There is a long way to go, but we are 6 points clear of Chelsea in 7th on 57 points. Just 6 points away from the Premier League title. What a season this has been for the mighty Brentford. And remember, we're still in the FA Cup as well, and we've got Colchester in the quarterfinals. They're a League 2 side, League 1 side even. How on earth are they there? No idea. Well, it wasn't quite what we were looking for, just a 1-0 victory in the 90th minute thanks to Ivan Toney, but Cole, you have been beaten. So we're into the semi-finals, but who's it against? It was going to be Arsenal away from home, and yes, ladies and gentlemen, Ivan Toney scores in 40 minutes, and we are going to grab a second to take us to an FA Cup final, thanks to a goal from Christopher Ayer. Unbelievable scenes. Who do you think we're facing? It's actually not the biggest challenge. It's Newcastle, who are currently sitting in 5th place in the Premier League. And well, funnily enough, they're actually our next game in the Premier League. And this is sort of going to be quite a good little test to see how we can do in the FA Cup final. And while we got off to a great start from Brian Mbeumo, we did see the strength of this Newcastle side. We saw what we have to prepare for if we do want to lift the trophy, as Anthony Gordon scores to make it 1-1 in 39 minutes. And on the stroke of half-time, the Joe Linton scores 2-1, and we lose to Newcastle. Let's hope that's not going to be what happens in the FA Cup final. But of course, that is going to be at the end of the video. So far, we've got to see how well we can carry on doing in the Premier League. The 2-0 loss against Aston Villa. Is it all coming unwrapped? Up next was Nottingham Forest, and we need to get 3 points from this game, and that's exactly what we did thanks to Brian Mbeumo. But we dropped 2 points at home against West Ham, and somehow got absolutely battered at Portman Road by Ipswich. And with just 5 games to go, we are now sitting in 6th place, nowhere near a title charge, as Aston Villa are leading the way by 6 points with 3 games to go. We are only a point clear away from 7th place, which is Manchester United, but we do have a game in hand. And that win for Ipswich grabs them up into 17th place. This is looking like a pretty mental Premier League season. So with that slight drop off in form, we had to go out there and put a team to bed. Ivan Toney, 1-0, 23 minutes. Southampton weren't going to go down without a fight, but this is going to be their only goal of the game, and we're going to score that magic total yet again in this one. The number 5. We keep scoring so many goals, and this counter-attacking free-flowing system, you can see it in the match engine. It's so fun to play, and I genuinely believe you can stick any striker in up here and you'll have some great fun. Remember, if you do sign up on the Patreon, please drop me a message of you absolutely smashing teams with this formation, because I love to see the tactics actually work rather than just plugging them on there. I don't really hear much feedback. If you are going to use these tactics, let me know how they get on in the comments down below or in the Patreon. They are absolutely fantastic. Josh De Silva scores our 5th in this game, a 5-1 victory over Southampton, 20 shots to their 9, a hat-trick for that man Ivan Toney yet again, and we dominated possession. And with 4 games to go, we are going to grab another victory against the mighty Arsenal, a Gabriel own goal. But our final 3 games of the season were against 3 of the biggest sides. We lost 1-0 to Chelsea, 1-0 to Manchester City, and on the final day drew 2-2 with Manchester United. Had we done enough to secure top 6 football? Yes, we have. We were 2 points away from the Champions League, and it was Newcastle that just pipped us to the post. We have got them up next in the FA Cup final. And it was Newcastle that got off to the better start as well, with that man Alex Isak scoring in the 16th minute. But that awoke a beast, and just 40 seconds later, we are going to grab our first goal of the game for that man Ivan Toney, and he was not done there. Ben Mee finds Janelt in the 75th minute. Damsgaard whips it in to Janelt, who then finds Toney to make it 2-1. And we are going to grab another as well from that man Ben Mee on the edge of the box, putting it into the top corner. A 3-1 victory. Brentford, top 6 FA Cup winners. A simply fantastic, fantastic season. If you have enjoyed the video, make sure you're smashing the like button, subscribe to the channel, and I will speak